Las Concordias ta asar parcha glaquins and G-Sprakshoff on Kainaishnish. Mr. Weir brings good news. I didn't know we had an extra 50 million capital spend on capital build, but I do want to speak in favour of defence of the budget, and I think it's a budget of which we can be proud. And these are tough issues, these are tough times, and despite that, I think we have come up with a budget which will serve our people well. It doesn't have everything in it, a Frío Las Concordia, which I would like. There are areas where I would like to see additional expenditure, but being in government, sharing power with others, having to come to an agreed settlement means that you don't get everything you want. And I think that despite that, there are many things in this budget which our electorate and our constituents will be grateful for. I think in particular, I'm very proud of the fact that coming out of this budget we have over £500 million set aside for welfare top-ups. No other place in these islands has managed to match that in any way at all. I think it's a testimony to the generosity of the political parties here in the Executive, who lead the Executive, and to our constituents, that they have agreed that we should set aside such a monumental sum of money to ease the effect of the Tory cuts on welfare. But I'm also proud of some local things in the budget. The Law Centre at Queen's will get £10 million. I really do hope the Social Investment Fund prospers in the year ahead and the money allocated to it is spent. I think of the Market Tunnel project, which is a magnificent project to link the market with the city centre, which is something I hope we will realise.
Thank the member for giving way. It was perhaps maybe when I was covering all the issues of education. Obviously, one tends to think of the purely departmental budget, but it should also be important to acknowledge that within SIF there are a number of projects which have an educational focus as well, and hopefully that will make a very positive intervention, particularly with some of our young people, particularly around the issues of underachievement. Thank you.
Absolutely, and some of these projects which are waiting are in the inner city. Some parties here don't have a lot of support in the inner city area, so they're caustic about the Social Investment Fund, but in my view the Sandy Row Enterprise Hub is a project which can absolutely transform and change Sandy Row, and we need to put our shoulder to the wheel to make sure that these happen. Very proud of the fact, Frío Las Concordia, that A5 and A6 are now up and running. I salute those who convinced the Irish Government to put their £75 million in against our money. I think that's welcome. I welcome the fact that in this budget we are really starting the North West Gateway between Derry and Donegal, mentioned in the Fresh Start Agreement, £1.5 million set against it. But I'm enormously proud of the fact that we're spending £4.8 billion on our health service, that we're spending well over £2 billion on our education service. And those who criticise and snipe at what we have done, I think they need to tell us what they would take from the health budget, what they would take from the education budget and where they would put it. And that's what's been absent. There have been attempts to denigrate the budget, but there's been no suggestion of where they would take money from, where they would replace it. And in my view, there's not enough money being set aside for economic development, but you can never have enough money. And I think what we have done is a good day's work. £170 million for Invest NI, £27 million for Tourism NI, £11 million for our friends in Tourism Ireland, and £3 million for Intertrade, and the latter two, of course, doubled by the Irish Government. That, for me, puts us on a strong footing as we move towards introducing corporation tax, making it affordable, making sure that we have our people skilled up, making sure that we can grasp the full opportunity. But for me, in this budget, those are key achievements of which we can be proud. But I want to mention something else, and I think we can be very proud of this in the budget. We have capped student fees, and there have been voices in this chamber that said no, heap more pain on students, make them pay more to have the liberation of a third-level education. We have said no, we're capping the fees on students. We have resisted calls in this chamber to introduce water charges, which again would be another tax on working families. We have stood by our senior citizens, and we have refused to introduce fares for pensioners and for senior citizens. We're keeping that free of charge, and we have kept prescriptions free of charges as well. Those are things we can be very proud of, and it's because of the leadership of the parties in this chamber and the parties in the Executive and the main parties that we've managed to deliver those. Now, having said that, I want to touch on the only alternative that has been put up to the budget is a suggestion by the SDLP that we should take £800,000 from the Office of the First and Deputy First Minister and we should give it to the Women's Centre, kindergartens, childcare. Now, of course, Minister Morrow spoke last week positively. I'm hopeful this week he'll actually find the £800,000 that we need for those hard-pressed women's centres and resolve that issue. But who here is going to go in to the office of the First and Deputy First Minister in the morning and tell them that they're losing £800,000 from their budget? Who's going to hand out the 20 P45s to the 20 workers? Who's going to go to the Victim and Survivor Service and say to them, we're taking your entire budget, which is £800,000, from you? And it's my belief that they haven't looked at the figures, that when they say OFM, DFM administration costs are going up at 23%, they haven't looked at the complexities. They haven't looked at the different programmes that they have taken aboard since 2012, 2013, and the logical reasons, which have been spelt out, which are on the record, for why the administration has increased. And in fact, if we allow the additional work that OFM, DFM has taken on, if we allow the contingencies they have taken in, for example, taking responsibility for advertising and other things from departments. In fact, OFM, DFM, like every other department, has reduced its administration budget between 2012 and 2015-16. So, in my view, this budget, does it deliver everything? Is it a wish list for everyone? No, it's not. Is it a good day's work? It's a very good day's work. And when I listen to Eileen Evanson and others who are on the coalface of delivering change and a fair deal for those who are on the dole, for those who are seeking work, for working families, I think it's a good day's work. So I support the budget, and I'm proud to support it, and I think that we have done well, and we'll do better in the time ahead, especially as we unite to build the economy.